On the show this week, we have Vijay Shekhar Sharma, founder and CEO, Paytm.
People like of our generation more and more would prefer everywhere, everything accessible instead of trying to be restricted that this is here now and not there.
In news, Rory McIlroy wins PGA Championship, his fourth major title. And Phil Mickelson qualifies for US Ryder Cup squad.
Oh, lovely shot. Lovely tee off, Vijay. Welcome to TeeTime.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you on the show.
How are you doing?
Good. So now let's talk about the e-commerce space. E-commerce space is something which is a buzz in this country. I mean, take for example Flipkart, you've got Snapdeal, you've got the likes of Jabong. And of course, what follows the automatic lead from the e-commerce space is m-commerce. With smartphones and mobile apps being developed, let's go over the ecology of m-commerce space in India today.
Correct. So, as you know it, I think India going through the retail phenomena, extending into the online, people had problems of payments, people discovered the solutions of cash on delivery, and now the people need the discovery problem solved. So internet requires desktop computers. People in India do not have desktop computers as we expect them to, so mobile device becomes the default place where people are browsing there. So as you know, in India, more and more people are using mobile phones. With mobile internet growing, people are default going on the device to go shopping also.
Right.
So people like us, Paytm, which was made as a payment platform for the mobile, get an advantage of consumer behavior change, which is, in a sense, it is expected because mobile is that device that you're keeping with yourself whole day. You're doing a ton of things, including messaging, social network, and so on.
Right.
So you will do the commerce and shopping also.
Now in India, you have around 930 thereabout million mobile phone users versus about 160 odd million internet users. Now, given this much of a gap, don't you think that mobile commerce is something which will become far more superior and the trend will latch on far more quickly compared to e-commerce in this country?
Yeah, it's inevitable actually. We know it that mobile is a bigger penetration. Incidentally, wherever you've seen, even in grown-up countries where people have choices of desktop and mobile both, they're choosing mobile to use more often. And if you see mobile versus desktop internet in India, people don't even have access to desktop internet.
Right.
So here it is inevitable that in 2 years time period, majority of commerce will happen on the mobile. Everybody who is not chasing mobile today is missing the train that they should be boarding right now.
All right.
Yeah.
On that note, let me tee off and we continue the conversation.
Look forward. Truly.
Thank you.
Shot.
Thank you. So let's talk about the FDI policy now. If India eases its foreign direct investment policy in the e-commerce space, do you think that the incumbents, which are the likes of the Snapdeal, Flipkart, Myntra, stand to benefit from that, or they need to be scared about the fact that foreign companies will be directly be able to sell their goods and services in India?
So we know a little bit of official stand of some of these guys already, by the way.
Right.
For example, like not every one of them wants FDI in commerce.
Right.
But I believe that India is a place where a lot of investments is required, whether it is services business, whether it is infrastructure, manufacturing, anything that you talk about.
Right.
So I believe that for consumers and for business, it is better to have FDI.
Right.
And yes, some of the pre-incumbents will always feel that there is a little extra heat generated because of that. But in the end, I believe the best men will win. And it is not about some of these investments that can restrict it for a while. So it is a problem for them, but I think it is inevitable to happen.
Now, in a generation where we live, where instant gratification is becoming more and more prevalent, players like you, of course, who are into the mobile payment option, sure stand to benefit from this predisposition of the Indian consumer, isn't it?
Correct. I think mobile is instant gratification for the generation which is now. Mobile phone allows you to shop 24/7. Mobile phone allows you to do something 24/7. So you are in touch with your friends to something that you need. You don't wait for a day to happen and your desktop to open and go to work and then try it. So instant gratification is one of the big drivers in consumer behavior change. If it is on the mobile, people like me, I don't even open my email on my desktop. And I think this is more and more true. I think people like of our generation more and more would prefer everywhere, everything accessible instead of trying to be restricted that this is here now and not there.
Isn't it time now for the conventional brick and mortar players to start facing heat from players in the e-commerce space, especially now with m-commerce opening up as well? And you do see that there's a huge difference in terms of pricing as far as products are concerned, in terms of the maximum MRPs at which they're available in a brick and mortar store compared to what they're available on the internet.
You just pointed out correctly. In fact, brick and mortar play have to find out what's their niche, what's their differentiation, what is their offering to consumer. Most of the time it used to be touch and feel. You sort of take the size, you sort of smell the perfume before you buy. But more and more people, once they get used to of what they're buying, then it doesn't matter whether you're buying online, you're buying mobile, you're going in store or not. And offline retail, like brick and mortar stores, have a problem of rental, problem of parking, and there is a real estate is a big problem for them actually. So they have to get their act together, because if they were waiting for consumers to come in and walk in because they sort of had a touch and feel advantage, people are comfortable about it. The fashion, accessory and sort of perfume, furnishing, home furnishing, furniture, everything is being bought online. And if the tsunami really gets into the mainstream, it'll be really a problem for them. So I can give in like up to 3 to 5 years maximum when retail in physical world would start to plateau or reduce. Actually.
Let's discuss about the monopolistic polarization that is setting in terms of the e-commerce space, given the buzz in the mergers and acquisitions activities happening in this area. Do you think some sort of a polarization like this is setting in?
I mean, there is no doubt, if you are at the end of your runway of your company, you want to make maximum and consolidate. But this opportunity just started. It's not like more than 3 or 4 year old actually. And as far as mobile commerce is concerned, it is like a year or two old only. So we are in early days. Consolidation is too far away, and I think this is the time to decide who are the real serious players versus. So it's like choosing versus men and boys, and I believe next 5 years is the time.
But I would tend to think, sorry about this, but I would tend to think that the consolidation in that space has already taken place, considering when we started in the e-commerce space in the country about a couple of years ago, you had so many players. You were about 700 or thereabout players. Today, if you see, you have about 4 good definitive players in the market, so the consolidation is already set in. It's more about monopolistic polarization setting in, given the mergers and acquisition space being so active, isn't it?
So you pointed it very well that there were 700, 800 players, and today there are not, and there are select few. The reason is that people went into this more like an early cash-in opportunities, not for 10 years play. If you're in here for long haul, this is the time to get in actually. So early starters, some of those didn't even have plans of finding sustainable business models in the sense. Maybe some of those found, maybe some of those didn't. If you see, companies have gone Series D, Series E, Series F, Series 7. 7 rounds of funding has happened. Founders and core teams have less than 20% of equities. I think those companies are inevitable to get consolidated. There is no other thing left for them actually. But as a long-term play, I would say, this is the early days of market. Talk about the numbers that every company talks about, or the market that everybody talks. We're talking about not more than $2 or $3 billion of commerce happening as of today. If I combine everything else, including travel, etc., this is like $10 million as of today. Now, of 500 billion, half a trillion economy, 10 billion is nothing. I mean, in a most mature retail markets, commerce has gone 6 to 15%, depending which geography are we talking about. We are not even 1% of it yet. So there is a 10x opportunity in front of us.
We're at the tip of the iceberg.
We're at the tip of the iceberg. Consolidation
Right.
is more because the companies ended their runways.
Interesting. You also mentioned startups right now. So you said that at that point of time, startups did not have a viable business proposition. In your words, you just said it.
Maybe.
Today,
Yeah.
do the startups look at this as a sunrise opportunities and the next big thing to latch on to?
So it is, and there is no doubt that there are very creative kind of startups that you would see. Payments is one, discovery is another. But if you go to the commerce platform, the very place where the commerce is happening,
Right.
I don't think that unless somebody is having deep pockets and a great consumer story already is going to play a bigger play. So I would say the entry barrier today is that you should have 200 crore in the bank minimum, you should have had 10 million consumers minimum, and I don't think there are many companies to that extent. So startup wise, I would say there's a great opportunity for startups to become additional things that you do in the commerce, like customer discovery, item discovery, price discovery, or
Data
payments,
analytics
data
and everything that
analytics,
goes
all
in the
those things.
surround
So
of
that is what the startup time right
e-commerce.
now is.
Very interesting point.
Yeah.
On that note, let's continue our game and we continue talking. Nice. So now, there was a syndicate research which was conducted and it mentioned that 61% of smartphone users have made purchases through their mobile phones. Of course, leading the pack in terms of purchases would be everything from your fashion accessories to travel to clothes
Cinema
to
tickets, train
cinema
tickets,
tickets, everything.
top-ups.
Now, with the coming of players like you who ease out payments through options like yours, how much do you think players will be contributing more to this figure?
So
And what about the rest of this, the rest of the pie chart that does not really end up spending
Transacted.
through their
Correct.
mobile phones?
So-
What's stopping them?
So first of all, smartphone is the correct device for the commerce.
Right.
Because it has internet connection, you have touch screens, you have very good resolution, and you can showcase a lot of stuff. And smartphone user, if we look at it today, is sort of a guy who has a payment method or a interest to pay and do something beyond just a call
Right.
or a SMS.
Right.
So smartphone becomes that very segmented customer base, which is like a correct segment, which is where you have an expected customer base who would do transact. Now, first of all, when you shop online or on smartphone, you want instant gratification things which are digital in nature, ticket, deal, top up, or I would say everything else like cinema ticket or even railway ticket or train ticket. These things are immediately gratifying. You instantly get the instant deliveries.
Right.
So a customer feels far more comforting transacting. And now that there are fashion accessories and all fashion apparels are all happening, this is great. The other segment which we're talking about of the smartphone, as you said, 61% customers have transacted. Other customers have to move up to smartphones. So there is a need of 3G, there is a need of smartphone for the mobile commerce to take off actually. We can't expect a phone call commerce. We can't expect a text-based commerce. That is more about just a transaction like a last-minute confirmation or a consent, but not a full-blown consumer experience that you can deliver.
Now, there has been a major revolution, as far as, if I can call it a revolution in this space, where the telecommunication companies and the mobile companies, along with banks, have come together and through the National Payments Corporation of India as well, collectively agreed to most of the conditions of the USSD mobile banking as well. Tell us about the impact of such a breakthrough on this space.
So the cash in India is in hands of people, and this is not necessarily all the time in the bank and all the time in plastic money, which we require when we want to do online commerce.
Right.
So prepaid instruments, licensed and NPCI and RBI's work in that side is very commendable. Once you have cash moving into the transaction mode, which is beyond cash on delivery, which means you have a payment system,
Right.
that gives an opportunity of a whole ecosystem to build up. Today, as Paytm, we have 9 million prepaid instruments.
Right.
Now, 9 million is a count which is more than the largest card issuer in the country.
Right.
The largest credit card issued are not more than, by any institution, is not more than 8 million.
Sure.
It has happened because people like RuPay, which is NPCI, are supporting us. RBI is supporting us. Various banks are supporting us. We've aggregated every national bank to add the money to it. Now, once you have added money into a wallet like Paytm, you can pay for in a very different experience, which is a very mobile savvy experience versus a clumsy experience, if I may call that, which is otherwise on internet, otherwise on net banking sites and so on. So user requires a usability and a great user experience. To do that, you have to take care of the back end. NPCI has done a tremendous amount of great job. We want to work more with them. We want to work more with nationalized banks so that the more money can move to the more transacting platforms like ours.
Thank you for staying with us on TeeTime and welcome back. Now, is there a fear, Vijay, of not really achieving profitability for players like you?
These are growth days. Next 5 years will be those. And I think as a company, we are fairly profitable. We have like 180 crore cash in bank. We last year did 100 crore profit.
Right.
So while end of the day, we want profitability and we want sizable amount of profit.
Right.
Today, this is growth here. Tomorrow, next 2 years, they are growth here. So these are investment years. There's not. I don't think that it is a fear that profit won't come. I think it is an opportunity to take the most on the table.
And what about 4G? How much are you welcoming 4G? Because when 3G happened, you saw this entire, boom taking place, the multiplier effect taking place. In fact, the numbers only doubled up every year.
Correct.
As far as the space is concerned.
Correct.
Now, how much are players like you welcoming 4G, and how will 4G change the paradigm even further?
So India took like 10 years to 100 million internet users on desktops.
Right.
Thanks to 3G, we like crossed this 100 million mobile internet users in less than 3 years.
Right.
Get 4G, I am expecting that not more than 2 years, another 100 million users.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So
now,
cumulative quantum leaps come when there is great bandwidth.
Now, specifically to Paytime, you have very much seen that your mobile sales have far more exceeded your desktop sales as well.
Correct.
Let's go over these numbers a little bit. And what is the difference that you're seeing?
When we made a mobile app 2 years back, we were doing it for convenience of people who are smartphone savvy users like you and me, and we didn't think that it will become mainstream in such a short span of time.
Correct.
Today, 55% of our orders come on the mobile.
Right.
And when we say 55%, we are talking about a couple of 100,000 orders. Last month, we did 4 million orders from the mobile phone. Every day, a couple of 100,000 people use Paytm on smartphone and complete a payment transaction, complete a transaction and give an order is an extraordinary volume.
Right.
This all happened in the last 2 years. So I think people were worried about whether there will be cash on, non-cash on delivery payment methods. People were worried about whether the smartphone will work or not. People were worried about whether people would be comfortable doing this or not. Today, every record has been broken. We do more mobile commerce than everybody else aggregated combined in the industry every month. And this is staggering and it is mind-boggling for us. We expect, as I said it, that within 2015 and 2016, in these next 2 years we are talking about, we would do 1 million orders a day on Paytm.
Come, let's finish our game on that note.
Congratulations.
Come. Well, good. You can finish it.
Finally.
Nice game. All right, so let's talk now about mobile commerce and whether it is being able to successfully attract first-time shoppers as well.
Yeah. So, smartphone is India's first computer. Let's talk about it. Next 100 million internet customers are not going to buy a desktop computer. They will be on smartphone. They will be
also,
on
it is cheaper to buy a phone than a computer for most people in the tier 2 cities and beyond.
Correct.
Isn't
and
it?
I mean, like in 5,000 rupees, you have an internet connect device,
got
which has a
everything.
browser, which has
Right.
email. This is the place to go. And you have apps then. I mean, apps,
Absolutely.
millions of apps, which games, casual entertainment, everything is so great. So I would say that more number of users every day get added on smartphone and commerce, mobile commerce, than even on internet commerce.
Right.
Google tells us that first transaction consumers are doing on destinations where they are utility centric. So mobile top up, deals, digital goods are the places. And I think we are poised for this new, 90% of all these new customers are our target audience. We are pre-bundling our app, we are distributing with Pepsi, we are distributing on IPL, we are distributing it on long tail of FMCG, we are riding as many possible places to go long tail as possible. 70% of our orders come from tier 3 places.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, which is not even first 20.
So now, you had an entrepreneurial streak right from the beginning, even before you started off with Paytm as well. I'm going to come to how you started off Paytm, but let's go a little beyond. In the year 2000, if I'm not mistaken, that's when you started your first entrepreneurial venture.
Correct. 197.
Do enlighten me on what it was called.
197.
197.
Yeah.
Now, after the 9/11 incident, you saw a lot of wax and wane during that period. How did you cope up with all of that at that point of time?
I think,
and what happened to that venture? Really?
So I started way back because there was a people search required, and we will talk about people search using 197 as a name because people dial 197 to talk to whose phone number is it. So it started as a people search. It ended up being a telecom application services company, and mobile was a DNA in even those days. So I kind of liked the opportunity that telecom was offering in those days.
Right.
So I think as a number, that company, I mean, Paytm is a brand name for us. It's the same company that we worked upon. And if you look at the kind of 1,200 people company, 1,000 crore GMV, not small numbers, and we're talking 9/11 days, we're talking something like 2008 that happened, we're talking sometimes the regulators killed it. I think the great team and great business opportunity and perseverance sails you through any time.
And what about Paytm? How did that come about really, and how did you end up getting investors for that as well? Come, let's sit in the car and go
so
back.
I think answer for Paytm was very simple because we were looking at smartphone as play.
Right.
So smartphone, if we're talking about smartphone as a business, then we needed smartphone apps where the transaction would have happened. Today, on our technology platform of 197, we have 651 million unique users a month. That is more than the aggregated Google, Facebook, everybody else combined. And when we were looking at feature phone going to the smartphone, so we thought that we had to solve the payment problem first, and that is how paid through mobile Paytm got up.
Well, so another new beginning for you, of course, has been golf, because you are a beginner at this game, and you have played world over, gone to the driving range, hit a few shots. When is it that you'll start taking up to the sport a little more seriously in India now?
I think if I was to look at it's more of a meeting ground, more of a casual play for me. And whenever I get into, all the time I feel that I should do a better thing, better tee off, better play, better. And I think these are 2 exciting days for me to give up, but still I think a couple of more times on a couple of weekends, and I think within a year or 2 I should be here more seriously.
So you're going to start playing in India very soon, because I believe you've only learnt in California and a couple of other places. And not really played here as such.
Not really played here. So I kind of just normally do casual shots actually when I'm visiting my investors, when I'm visiting West Coast, which is like the place where
So you do mix golf with a lot of business also, like I can see.
Truth is that golf is more for the business reasons.
Really?
Yeah, that is what that I like about this, and that is what it is for it.
Well, so Vijay right there, leveraging the power of the sport for his business as well. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today on Tea Time. I will see you next week again. Until then, enjoy the flight of a good drive.